The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Welcome to this episode of Pit Life BBQ. Gather around the pit with your hosts, Johnnie Mags and Messy Mike. Let's talk barbecue.
What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from the Bobby and Jack's Memphis Barbecue Sound Stage, located inside the Studio 21 Podcast Café. It's the Pit Life BBQ podcast, where we talk everything barbecue and a lot of other topics that we would normally talk around the pit. As always, I'm joined by Messy Mike.
How you doing?
Good, pal. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yep. Nice day out today. Not too cold.
Yeah, not too cold. Pretty good.
Yep.
Had some snow in the morning, but hey, whatever. It's January in New England. It happens.
Oh, yeah. And we had a good show last week, so.
We had a good show last week, so while we're not out the gate like a rodeo right now, which was great, the energy Sean brought last week was fantastic.
Oh, my God. That was like riding a bull for 8 seconds.
He just tried to sit there and hang on.
Yeah.
And we did what we hung on pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, he's full of energy. I loved it.
Oh,
but,
just the Flame Boss.
Oh, the Flame Boss alone. And I looked into that. Oh, that's going to be a purchase, boy.
Oh, 100%.
That thing
I could tell that had your name written.
Oh, absolutely. Twice. But first thing I want to do is, because we were out to shoot so quick last week, I didn't have the opportunity. I'd just like to give a quick shout out and thank Tom Duggan of the Paying Attention podcast, also done here at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. Tom was celebrating his 1 year anniversary of his podcast.
Okay.
And he had invited anybody who does a show here on. So he had me on to begin the second hour of his show. So we chatted for about 15 minutes.
I still haven't seen it, so it's a surprise.
I don't know what you're waiting for.
I'm excited to see it, so.
But we'd like to say, Tom, thank you very much for having me on. It was great. I started reading the book he gave me. Very interesting. From his paper, they do a special on a local veteran. Okay. And he's been doing it for years. So he's actually has a book with all the articles,
profiles
of all the veterans, cool. And I guess he's coming out with a volume 2 rather soon.
What's it called? Heroes in Our Midst.
Heroes in Our Midst. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, very interesting. Nice. But yeah, Tom, thank you very much for having us on. I appreciate it. It was a great show, and congratulations on your 1 year.
And I apologize that the star of the show wasn't able to make it that day for his interview.
Oh, don't worry. I pumped your tires pretty good. I was selling them on Messy Mike's barbecue sauce and where we can get it and all that. Oh, yeah.
Nice, I appreciate it.
I took care of business.
Excellent.
So today we decided we are going to somewhat revisit Christmas, or at least my Christmas present. And we're going to go through Bill Gillespie's cookbook, The Secrets to Great Charcoal Grilling on the Weber, by Bill Gillespie of Smoking Hogs. And he has one. And
hopefully it's okay that we're
we
going over some recipes. So, Bill, if you're out there.
Sorry, we were planning on messaging you, but we kind of dropped the ball on that. But, some of these. Ed, if we can turn this on
the book alone,
the front camera,
is phenomenal. Just the pictures alone of how you prepare your chicken, your competition chicken, from start to finish. Whether it's you're scraping the skin off, taking the skin off, scraping it, putting the skin back on to dunking it right before turning. So you'll learn trimming brisket, trimming up competition ribs, preparing competition chicken. Just the pictures. You can, you don't even have to read the book. You can just look at the pictures and you'll know exactly what to do. It's that detailed. I think it's a fantastic cookbook for any barbecue lover.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, we were going through this at your house today, and there was some stuff. Obviously, I've been looking through it since Christmas, and there's a few things that just jump off the page and go, okay, you are officially on the to-do list.
Yes. Well, one. Can I mention it?
Oh, let's go.
The one thing that I thought, I think we both agreed that jumped off the page was grilled lemonade.
Grilled lemonade, folks. That's right. We did not misspeak there. Grilled lemonade.
Yep. And
That's an attention grabber right there.
Yeah. And I mean, he also gives you diagrams on, I believe it's like page 11 or 11 and 12, on how to set up your grill for direct cooking, indirect cooking, the the snake method, and so when you're looking at these recipes, he'll also reference, okay, set the grill up this way. Okay, in parentheses, go to page 11. So go back to page 11, see the setup process of the grill, and all right, now continue back onto the recipe. So it's crazy detail.
Crazy details,
yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, grilled lemonade, basically set up your grill for direct cooking. You want to have a nice even layer of hot coals on the bottom. And you want to get the temperature up to between 400 and 450. Once you get that going, basically you cut lemons in halves and then dip each half into sugar to coat it. Once they're coated in sugar, place them directly onto, right over the hot coals, and about 5 to 10 minutes, but it says to check after 5 minutes just to see if they're caramelized, because you don't want them burned. You just want the sugar to caramelize on the lemon halves.
And that heating it up is going to bring some of the natural sugars of the lemon to the forefront too.
Yes. Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah, this...
and also the juices too, so it's going to be, the flavor is going to be crazy. Then while the lemons are cooking, this says, bring 2 1/4 cups of water to a boil and add remaining sugar and mint. Well, I've never had mint in lemonade. I don't know if anybody else has had.
I can't say I have. I might have had one in a
mojito.
A mojito,
Yeah.
They put a little lemonade in there with that, but a cocktail of, cocktail with mint I've had.
Yes.
But not straight lemonade with mint.
I'm
but
not saying I'm opposed to it.
I'm not.
No.
I won't.
No, it's
not
just
saying I ain't going to try
it's
it.
just another layer of flavor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So remove from the heat. Let's sit about 30 minutes. Strain the syrup that we just made with the water and sugar, and basically all you're taking is the grilled lemons and you're squeezing them. It says with the squeezer, your hands. You can use tongs too. Actually, I like using the tongs method. It's a lot easier, I feel. You just put the half a lemon in between 2 tongs and just squeeze.
Yeah.
And you're going to get the grilled flavor in the lemonade. That's basically what you're doing. I'd probably step it up a notch by, this says add bourbon to it, which I've never thought to add bourbon to lemonade. I've always lemon, vodka lemonades.
Hold on. You are a 90s degenerate like myself.
Okay, probably.
Remember back in the early 90s?
Oh,
the Jack Daniels
Lynchburg lemonade.
Lynchburg lemonade. That's exactly what that was. It was Jack Daniels with the lemonade.
Okay.
And they were fantastic.
Were they? All right.
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm like a absolute and lemonade guy, or, vodka lemonade.
Yeah.
That's the way I'd go. But I'd have to try the bourbon because that does sound
Hey, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yep.
And then find the guy that life gave vodka and throw a party.
There you go.
So, yeah, this grilled lemonade, it just caught my attention in a heartbeat, because that's just going to be...
And, I mean,
that's
lemonade's
just going to be refreshing to begin with.
Yep. And lemonade's easy to make, too.
Yeah.
It's simple. Water, sugar, done.
Water, sugar,
lemons.
lemon juice.
Yeah.
That's it. So
we might have to try this.
Although you really should make a simple syrup from your water and sugar.
And sugars.
Just so it all dissolves nicely.
And that it does say to make sure all the sugar is dissolved.
Simple syrup's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. And simple syrup is just water and sugar.
Water and sugar.
Yep.
50-50 mix, I believe, if I remember from my bartending days.
New England School of Bartending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, if you're using that, then there'll be more water to add to the lemonade mix.
Yeah.
Because the simple syrup's really sweet.
Yep.
Concentrated.
Yeah.
And thick, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Yes.
It has a viscosity to it. How do you like that word?
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, you were throwing...
Sound like a motorhead.
Oh, no, you should have heard the one on the Snack Authority. They did a show about Ritz crackers covered in fudge. and he made the recipe that was on the bag.
Yeah.
And he goes, I didn't kind of dig the recipe. I would have.
Well, here
What
was
did
the
you
problem.
say it was called?
First, they just crumbled the cookies in the bottom, and I would have put them in a food processor.
But you used the word before food processor.
Really?
Was it pulse?
Oh yeah, you pulse it.
Pulse it. It was like, I never heard that.
Like you're
I'm
making.
like, pulse it. I'm like, what is he talking
The
about?
word, it
It's
says it right on the
it.
food processor, pulse.
I never
go,
use a
woo,
word. Dude,
woo.
I just use grind ice for frozen cocktails. Mm-hmm.
You need a food processor.
But Johnny, it
I am a
wasn't.
walking food processor.
It wasn't a bad recipe. The recipe was good and it
Yeah.
was really simple. But they used Cool Whip, which I never would have done. But we were reviewing the recipe, not my interpretation of it. We all decided we'd eat it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we did.
Yes, you did.
I love Ritz crackers
Oh, Ritz crackers are the best.
with peanut butter. Oh,
These fudge ones, it was interesting because the fudge, it wasn't, such a hard chocolate coating, and there was a little fudginess to it. And then on the aftertaste, you get a little bit of the salt from the Ritz, the buttery flavor. Ooh. Very good. You ought to seek those out. Limited edition.
limited edition. All right. Nice.
Oh, yeah. Which one are we going to hit now? What do you think?
Let's go with the meatloaf.
Little comfort food in the
Yep.
wintertime goes nice.
Yep. And actually, I learned this today because when I do my meatloaf on the smoker, I always put it in a meatloaf pan. Always. That's what, growing up, put it in the oven.
Oh,
that's
yeah. You got the loaf pan, yeah.
Yeah. But Billy, nope.
Right on the grate,
says
baby.
right on the grate.
That's it.
Yep.
Because you're gonna, especially if you're doing it on a smoker, the whole loaf is gonna be engulfed in the smoke. That's what you want. Well, if you have it in a pan, that really the bottom half of that, you're really not penetrating much
Right.
of smoke flavor. You're really just coating the top, getting the smoke flavor on the top.
Or you
third.
You could go middle of the road. Some people make a meatloaf on a sheet pan.
Yep.
And just form it. So
Yeah.
if you didn't want to put it right on the grill, that'd still get you more exposure from the smoke.
Yep. Oh yeah. And the like the recipe that he uses, we're not going to go over, measurements and stuff like that. I mean, I really suggest, people buy the cookbook. But, he uses ground beef, ground pork, Italian breadcrumbs, an egg, Worcestershire sauce. And, that's a basic meatloaf recipe. When I was growing up, my mother, and actually my mother-in-law too, to this day, they put sauce in it, red sauce. So I asked, why do you put the red sauce in it? And that's what keeps it moist.
Oh, the mixed red sauce in
Yep.
before you form.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and Billy does the same thing that I do is put a little of your barbecue sauce in. I use Messy Mike's barbecue sauce, but you can use whatever your favorite barbecue sauce is. But it helps keep the flavor, it helps keep the meatloaf moist. Plus the barbecue sauce adds another barbecue flavor
to it.
To it. And then,
there's nothing like a good meatloaf, especially in the cold.
especially
winter.
a smoked meatloaf. And then you glaze the barbecue sauce on top and, let it cook just a little more. And now you got that caramelization of sauce on the top. Oh, it's delicious.
Outstanding.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, very easy recipes he has.
Oh,
in
very
here.
easy.
And it's all delicious. And he knows.
I mean, he's amazing. I mean, the pictures alone are worth $1 million,
And
crazy.
for those listening and watching that aren't familiar with who Bill Gillespie is, I got two events for you: the Jack Daniels World Championship Invitational and the American Royal Invitational. He has won both. So he's got cred.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, and
yeah.
I think he's actually having a school.
Oh, yeah. He's
coming up in just outside of Boston, and if I remember correctly, it was 140 top tens, 120 overall finishes.
Grand champions, reserve grand champions. Yep. He was actually on not too long ago. He was invited by Andy Husbands, So he was a guest pitmaster at the smoke shop that Andy Husband owned. So, for him to get invited, Tuffy Stone was there, I think shortly after him.
Speaking of Tuffy Stone, did you see Tuffy Stone?
With Robert Duvall?
With Robert Duvall.
Yep.
It was...
Tuffy, I'm glad Robert Duvall was excited to meet you.
Yes. Robert Duvall, I think the quote was, I can check this off my bucket list. This is Robert Duvall.
His 87th birthday, he had Tuffy Stone come up to the farm in Virginia and cook barbecue for him. And, yes, he said, I can now check this off my bucket list. I met Tuffy Stone, which is incredible.
He's Robert Duvall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Jeez. Maybe one day. One day we'll get to that status, but...
Someday. Well, you already hit that. You go, I'd really love to do a show with Johnny McGuire. And your dream came true there, son.
My dream is coming true right now. So for the meatloaf, basically, put your favorite barbecue sauce, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper. He puts Asiago cheese in his.
Which I found very interesting, because Asiago cheese has a great flavor. I love it.
And I think it would be as a binder as well, kind of, too, and, puts it on the smoker. Temperatures, adjust the bottom vent so the dome temperature is approximately 350. And then, put your wood on the charcoal. Place the cooking grate on the grill, obviously, so you're not just going to throw it on the coals.
And folks, all these recipes we're giving to you, he is doing on a Weber kettle.
Everything is on a Weber kettle.
So it's not this elaborate setup smoker or anything. It is the simple Weber kettle that is in every hardware store.
Yep.
You can find them anywhere. Walmart's, Target's, Ace Hardware.
Oh, yeah.
What's right?
This cookbook is made specifically for the backyard barbecuer. He's not doing anything that, he's not using full logs. He's not using, pellet smokers. He's using chunks where you can buy any, at any local hardware store or, like you said, Walmart. And whether it's charcoal briquettes or lump, that's all he's using. And it's the way that you set up the smoker in the different methods is what, gets these products the way that they turn out, But yeah, he puts the two meats on the smoker and cooks them for about 35 to 40 minutes. So you're looking for an internal temperature of 145. Once it reaches 145, brush on the barbecue sauce on top, and then cook until it reaches an internal temperature of 160, 165. That's his. You can brush the top closer to 160, 165, and there's not let it go as long. Or you can go from 140 to 165 and let it sit on top.
And also, just like any other recipe, play with it.
Oh yeah, make it your own.
Your own. If you don't like a specific ingredient, substitute it with something that fits your palate. Make it your own and just roll with it.
Yeah, try with.
Because that's how everything comes. It's trial and error.
Sometimes for a meatloaf, I like some hot sausage in there instead of just the regular ground pork. Kick it up a notch.
I've seen stuffed meatloafs. With the cheese and sausage in the middle.
Well, that's called a.
What?
That would be called
a stuffed meatloaf.
Excuse me. That would be called a fatty.
No, because a fatty.
A fatty is basically a stuffed meatloaf, but it's like Bill says. Think of it as a calzone. Instead of using dough, you're using sausage or pork.
There you go. Which isn't in a meatloaf because meat is beef.
Yes, but you can make.
We're talking sausage.
Right, but you can make meatloaf with lamb, veal, beef, pork, anything.
I understand that.
As long as there's some meat in the meatloaf. So you could do a fatty and put a little bit of beef in it. Now it's a beef fatty.
See, folks, this is what I got to deal with on a regular basis. But okay, so let's just jump so that was the meatloaf. Let's jump to the stuffed sausage fatty.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was just waiting for a joke.
Go ahead.
Waiting for a joke.
Nope.
Okay, we're good. So the sausage fatty has become it's very popular on the competition circuit, and
it's becoming very popular in general.
Yeah,
People
and
just
like you
love
said,
doing
it's like a
fatties.
calzone, but it's all meat, no bread.
Mm-hmm.
You basically, lay out the sausage. It's rolled, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sort. What's the Italian dish that's similar?
Pancetta?
Is it pancetta, or is it cantelloni? Is that the?
Pancetta is like
So
the
beef with
and you roll it.
cheese and-
Yep, pancetta or porchetta.
Porchetta, yeah,
Porchetta.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, because he says basically put your pork mixture in a plastic bag
Yeah.
and then flatten it out that way.
And it's a mixture of Italian sausage and breakfast sausage. Put it in a gallon bag, flatten it out, spreading it.
I think the breakfast sausage is money.
Oh, absolutely, because it just has
Definitely.
that extra spice to it.
Yep.
That's just, everyone loves.
Oh yeah,
You know.
it'll bring you back to biscuits and gravy.
Oh boy, I love when he talks dirty.
All right, go ahead, fatty. Talk about the fatty.
The other the other technique for flattening it out is you could use a sheet pan and put it in there and then just press it down.
Yeah,
the pan
or take another sheet pan.
Yep, and press it.
Yep.
I know Mr. Jonathan does that when he makes his White Castle knockoff burgers. He actually makes
He was just telling me about that. Oh,
a big sheet of it and
Yep.
then cuts it into the squares. Delicious.
yeah. We might have to actually do a segment on
His
Mr. Jonathan's White Castle burgers because from what he was
Oh,
saying,
they're
you can feed a
fantastic.
crowd and they're fantastic.
He still wants to know when having them on.
All right.
Every shed night, we have once a month. When you having me on the show?
Well,
All right,
When you
we'll
have me on the show?
maybe you could adapt that to doing the smoker, for example, the White Castle
Yeah.
Mr. Jonathan recipe, and serve it here if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Absolutely. So the stuffed sausage fatty basically consists of breakfast sausage, Italian sausage, Smoking Hog's smoky applewood dry rub, or you can use a rub of your preference. Package of cream cheese, diced jalapenos, barbecue sauce, and he uses one chunk of fruit wood, which is optional. So you can use an apple wood, cherry wood, if you choose to get a little smoke flavor in there.
Yes.
Because like I said, it's not a regular smoker, it's right on the kettle. And you roll the whole thing, so you season the surface with the dry rub, break the cream cheese into half-inch pieces, place it onto the sausage, and add the jalapenos. Then you basically just roll it up into a log.
Nice and tight.
Nice and tight. Set up your grill for a 2-zone cooking. And
to roll it too, might be easier to lay out some saran wrap. Put your flat beef mixture or pork mixture on saran wrap. When you put the cheese and stuff in it, now you have the saran wrap to roll it tight.
roll it,
Yep,
yeah,
and then
nice.
you can get it nice and tight.
very good idea, great idea. And you want your dome temperature to be about 350 to 375. And, make your adjustments with the dome to get to whatever temperature you really love to use. Move the fatty from the fridge, place onto the cooking grate on the cool side of the grill, so you're going a little
You need a hot and a
indirect,
cold side. Yeah.
indirect
Yep.
cooking
Yep.
with there.
And you also want to put the fatty in the refrigerator to let it sit to kind of
Firm
set
up
up and
a
firm
bit.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And place the cover on the grill with the vents over the cool side, cooking for about 30 minutes. Remove the lid, turn the fatty 180 degrees, cover and cook for additional 30 minutes. Brush with simple barbecue sauce and cook until the internal temperature reaches about 150 degrees. So it's going to approximately take you a half hour to an hour. And it looks absolutely delightful.
Oh yeah. Show the.
So you can throw that on out there.
Hold the line.
Holding.
Oh
There
yeah.
we go.
Oh yeah.
That just looks like a fatty.
And that's a fatty,
That's a fatty right there.
not the one that's in your mouth.
It strikes me this book sounds perfect for somebody who's just getting into smoke because, it's for this specific device, which is not terribly expensive as smokers
No,
go.
you can find them. You can find it off season. What's a Weber kettle?
Oh, well,
$75.
Facebook Marketplace. You
Facebook
probably get it for-
Marketplace. Yeah,
Right,
they're all
50
over
bucks.
there.
And he's got the recipes just tuned exactly
For
for
the kettle. Yes.
You know,
Yep.
Yeah.
And it seems like he does a lot of stuff hot and fast.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of competition cookers seem to be that's what their method, preference is, hot and fast.
No. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because time management, but I mean a lot of this stuff is you're not going to sit there and I got to check this overnight. I got to stay up all night to do this. A lot of the stuff is hour, couple hours, couple minutes, and you're eating.
He also has a dessert section into this.
Yeah.
And there was one that really stuck out. Like you said, this whole book, stuff is just jumping off the pages at me.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, have you ever heard of a bacon weave s'more?
I have not. I've heard of the elements of that, bacon weave and s'more.
And s'mores.
Tell me more.
Ooh.
Tell me s'more.
Oh, look whose attention we got out there. Here's word s'more, huh? Hey, you, Blondie. Yeah. Here's s'more, and she comes running. You need 2 pounds of sliced bacon, and then half them. Mm-hmm. Brown sugar, 2 chocolate bars, 16 large marshmallows, and 4 long skewers, so you don't burn the hell out of your hand. Mm-hmm. And basically, set up the grill 2-zone with lumped charcoal so you can get that feeling and the flavor of cooking a s'more over a campfire. You'll be heating the dome temperature up to 400 degrees, proper vent adjustments.
Blah, blah, blah.
And, make the bacon weave, lay out 3 halves of the bacon next to each other, lift one end of the middle bacon slice and place the 4th bacon there.
Yes, I would.
Do you have an easier way?
Yes, I would.
You got my attention.
Well, no, I would look that up. For you to describe it, it's not going to make sense to a lot of people.
That's just a Boston accent.
So I mean, look up a bacon weave. There's a beautiful step-by-step process in the cookbook.
And I'm sure there's YouTube videos
Correct.
where you can see somebody and how they're doing
But it's like, it's like weaving a basket,
Bacon and s'mores, it's like, oh my God.
Well, bacon, chocolate, and marshmallow, I mean, just the saltiness, the chocolate, the marshmallow, the bacon.
Salt, sweet, savory.
Yeah.
It's got everything rolled into one.
Yep.
But yeah, folks, that was just a couple in this book. Like I said, the Secrets to Great Charcoal Grilling on the Weber by Bill Gillespie.
Wait, one more. I got to get to this. I'm not going to describe it, but I'm just going to mention it.
Okay.
So back a couple of shows ago, I did the onion, the French onion soup thing in the tinfoil. Billy's got a great tinfoil stew that it's basically the same idea. You put your beef, you put your vegetables in, some seasonings and liquid. You can get the book and figure out what the other stuff is, but you put it in a foil pack, and then you just throw it right on the charcoal. So if you were camping, and you were just sitting by a fire, you just throw these right in the fire, and they're going to cook.
They become little crock pots, slow cookers.
Yeah. It's almost like beef stew.
Yeah.
Yep.
Throw them right there, right onto the coals. You can.
Yep. And a lot of people. Doug Burnett out of Michigan. He's a great barbecue, friend. And when he does, sometimes if there's no room on the smoker, and he'll do like steaks. Sometimes he'll put them right on the firebox coals. Sear it that way, and then set it off, on the cooler side of the smoker, and just let it finish.
Nice.
But yeah, you can do a lot with just open flame charcoal. So
it's just living and learning every day within the barbecue world.
Yep.
Yep.
And next week we'll have Dan Wright from Wright's Barbecue Company, Wright Barbecue Company out of Alabama. He's got a peach chipotle barbecue sauce and an all-purpose seasoning, as well as a beef blend that just came out.
Just came out recently, before the holidays.
So we'll be talking with him,
which will be nice to have. Dan's a great guy.
Yes, fantastic, and he's a local firefighter in Alabama, so that's awesome.
And what was the other part? I'm dying to ask him how he came up with the peach chipotle combination, because it is out of this world.
Oh yeah.
It really
it's fantastic. Yep.
So, yes, we'll have Dan Wright is joining us next week. We're very excited about that.
Via Skype. He won't be here on the show via Skype.
But we'll start. You never know. He'll be up at some point for business, possibly.
Oh, definitely.
You know, always has the open invitation.
Yep.
Well, that's it this week, folks. Once again, we'd like to thank Bobby and Jack's Memphis BBQ for helping us bring this to you every week. If you're in the Tewksbury
area, go check them out.
Check them out. They're located at 1777 Main Street, Tewksbury, Mass. Right on Route 38.
Wings are phenomenal.
The wings are phenomenal.
Yep.
So, Bobby and Jax, thank you very much. We'd love to hear from you. Send your questions and comments to pitlifebbqpodcast@gmail.com. On social media, find us on Facebook, YouTube, at Pit Life BBQ and Pit Life BBQ Podcast. Can't catch us live, find us on iTunes and other podcast carriers. Actually, you have where they can find us else.
Yeah, and if you want to hear this episode again or any other old episodes, if you want to share them with a friend who might be interested, send them to UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. That's UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. You can find this podcast and the vodcast, which is video on demand, in case they want to watch it. Find this episode and all previous episodes on UnitedPodcastNetwork.tv. Please subscribe and share.
Share is more importantly.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Shares love.
We got a lot of shares last week, so let's keep it going, guys. But until next week, keep the smoke rolling.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.